Человек дал нам эту коллекцию.
Да?
Читай, здесь на английском тоже написано.
Dr. Walter Moses. Yeah. So she's explaining that this was the person that gave these collections of these olden things here. It is even written founder of the museum Haaretz.
In 1981, Schlommo Lahhat, the mayor of Tel Aviv, pressured the museum's board of directors to appoint Rehavam Zevi as museum director.
There is something lemala,
Okay.
so I can go up.
I don't know. 50 shekel, 50 shekel.
I already paid 50 shekels.
Он из Австрии, он не был израильтянин.
When is Austria?
Из Австрии.
Wow.
Он жил в Австрии и собирал эту коллекцию, а потом привез ее в Израиль и подарил нам.
So he's Austrian.
The construction works led to the destruction of the Byzantine mosaic on the museum grounds, for which Zevi was interviewed by the police.
And he's Jewish.
Walter.
Yeah, Walter Moses. He's Austrian, Jewish. Before he died, he was the one that gifted the state of Israel the collections, most of the collections. So why then did I have to give you 50 shekels? I know. Thank you. Yo, what up everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. It's your boy, the Crackhead, wishing you all a wonderful day. Today's exploration is at a museum in Tel Aviv. It is called Eretz Israel Museum. That would translate to the Museum of the Land of Israel. Let's start from here. What is this? Mosaic Square. 4 mosaic floors are exhibited in the square. The first, uncovered on the museum campus, is shown in Citu. The other 3, selected from different sites in the country, are on display by the courtesy of the Israel Antiquities Authority. The first is floor from a Samaritan synagogue in Citu. The second floor from a Roman villa, Bet Guvrin. Yeah, we saw that in the previous video. The third floor from a synagogue, Tiberias, and the fourth floor from a mosque in Ramla. So, let's take a look at these mosaic floors. 4 floors are supposed to be here, according to what we just read. And this is the last floor. It's a segment of synagogue mosaic floor in Tiberias, 7th to 8th century CE. There is something in Greek even written on the floor.
The Eretz Israel Museum, also known as Moaza, is a historical and archaeological museum in the Ramat Aviv neighborhood of Tel Aviv, Israel. The museum was established in 1953 as the Haaretz Museum.
Postcards from yesterday. Postcards from yesterday is a site-specific installation commissioned by Moaza, the Eretz Israel Museum. The work relates to the museum's interdisciplinary approach and to its historical collections of archaeology, ethnography, photography, folklore, and more. So these are all postcards. Can I go up? No? What is up there? Nothing? Okay. And now we're heading to Rothschild Center. It says the Rothschild Center has been built by the Caesarea Edmund Benjamin de Rothschild Foundation, the Tel Aviv Foundation.
The museum has a large display of archaeological, anthropological, and historical artifacts organized in a series of exhibition pavilions on its grounds.
There is something lemala,
Okay.
so I can go up.
I don't know. 50 shekel, 50 shekel.
I already paid 50 shekels. Who?
Special expedition.
So who is there to ask? What is here in Hebrew? What is written here in Hebrew?
No, it will be expedition.
Okay, now
It's,
no.
like we do the expedition.
Okay,
yeah.
now it's construction
Yeah,
upstairs.
now,
Okay.
yeah. Now it's construction.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. So why then did I have to give you 50 shekels?
No, just kidding.
I know. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Each pavilion is dedicated to a different subject: glassware, ceramics, coins, copper, and more. The museum also has a planetarium. The Man and His Work wing features live demonstrations of ancient methods of weaving, jewelry and pottery making, grain grinding, and bread making. Tel Aviv, an excavation in which 12 distinct layers of culture have been uncovered, is on the grounds of the museum. What is this building for? Or what was the structure for? The museum was established by the city of Tel Aviv in 1953. Its collection began with glass and ceramics donated by Walter Moses.
Человек дал нам эту коллекцию.
Да?
Читай, здесь на английском тоже написано.
Dr. Walter Moses.
Moses.
Yeah. So she's explaining that this was the person that gave these collections of these olden things here. It is even written founder of the museum Haaretz. So,
Да. Он нам сделал эту, подарил эту коллекцию. Он умер в 55-м году.
Да.
В 55-м. До своей смерти, за несколько лет, он нам отдал эту коллекцию. Он из Австрии, он не был израильтянин.
and is Austria?
Из Австрии.
Wow.
Он жил в Австрии и собирал эту коллекцию, а потом привез ее в Израиль и подарил нам.
So he's Austrian, from Austria, and he's Jewish.
Уолтер.
Yeah,
Мозес
Walter
Лейн.
Moses. He's Austrian,
Еврей, из
Jewish. Before he died, he was the one that gifted the state of Israel the collections, most of the collections
И
which are saw
благодаря
here.
этому построили это здание, павильон, да? Начался музей. Первый павильон – это глаз.
Вау.
А потом все остальные построили, керамика, монеты. Ты был там?
Да, я был везде.
Вот,
Это была
молодец,
последняя, да.
умничка. Там это, 10 павильонов сейчас. А это первый павильон. Благодаря вот этой его коллекции.
So
которую ты
because
сейчас видишь.
because of this man here, Dr. Walter Moses, God bless his soul, for gifting the things we've seen here, this pavilion was the first pavilion to be built.
А сейчас 10 павильонов.
And now there are 10 pavilions of, antiquities here in this complex. But this was the first. And it was built because of his donation of the gift of the glass, wares we've seen inside. Thank you very much, Dr. Walter Moses.
Да,
Now I know you.
да, светлая ему память.
Yeah.
Да.
In 1981, Schlommo Lahhat, the mayor of Tel Aviv, pressured the museum's board of directors to appoint Rehavam Zevi as museum director. Zevi was director of the museum from 1981 to 1989, was chairman of its board from 1989 to 1994, and remained a board member until 1999. During his tenure, $11 million the city invested in the museum, new buildings were created, and staff numbers grew, although visitor numbers declined. The construction works led to the destruction of a Byzantine mosaic on the museum grounds, for which Zevi was interviewed by the police. Here it says, the use of plastic. Throughout history, new raw materials have been introduced for the manufacture of everyday articles. These new materials ushered in the production of certain products and objects which would not have been previously possible. Notwithstanding the discovery of these new materials, man's conservative nature led to the production of certain items in the same form as they were produced with traditional raw elements. Written in English, in Hebrew, and also in Arabic. Let's take a look at the archaeology of the Eretz Israel Museum. The ancient copper production. The Nechushtan Pavilion is dedicated to the copper production at Timna in the southern Negev during the Chalcolithic, Bronze, and Iron Age periods. The pavilion contains a reconstructed mine, smelting furnaces, and findings from the Egyptian Midianite mining temple at Timna. The reconstructed Chalcolithic and late Bronze Age mine displays mining tools such as stone, hammers, flint blades, and copper chisels, as well as the typical marks they left on the rock. 4 smelting furnaces are on display. Bow furnace from the Chalcolithic period, 4th millennium BCE. Domed furnace of the late Bronze Age, 14th to 13th centuries BCE. Authentic late Bronze Age furnace, 12th century BCE. and the shaft furnace of the Iron Age, 10th century BCE.
Since the dawn of history, the Timna Valley has functioned as a significant copper industry center. For over 6,000 years, diverse groups, including desert-dwelling tribes, Egyptian delegations, semi-nomadic communities, Roman soldiers, the Nabateans, the Umayyads, and even the state of Israel have exploited the copper deposits within this region. The mining sanctuary in its Semitic phase, the Egyptian mining sanctuary. Roman lead coffin from a painted tomb at Migdal Ashkelon, mid-3rd century CE. Wow, so this was a coffin.
In the 14th century BCE, the Egyptian pharaohs dispatched mining expeditions to Timna. Alongside expert metalsmiths from the land of Midian, they extracted copper at Timna until the early 12th century BCE. This pavilion houses a Midianite temple model. Of special interest is the copper snake with gilded head found in the Midianite shrine, reminding of the biblical Neshushtan, the bronze serpent that Moses had made, in Numbers chapter 21 from verse 4 to 9 and 2 Kings chapter 18 verse 4.
The work, the craft that was put to design this, and what was the advantage of it? Details of ornamentation of items made of various materials.
And so today I'm taking you with me to one of the most underrated places in Tel Aviv. I'm talking about the Eretz Israel Museum, where I'm currently exploring. This place feels alive. So while I'm here, first of all, the space itself surprised me. It's huge. Open air, green lawns, different pavilions scattered around like little walls you have to explore one by one. It doesn't feel like you're walking into a building. It feels like you're entering a timeline. And that's the thing about Eretz Israel Museum. It's not just about art hanging on white walls. It's about history, archaeology, culture, coins, crafts, tools, basically the DNA of this land. Every corner is telling you this happened here thousands of years ago, right where you're standing. The first thing that hit me was how ancient everything felt. You're looking at pottery that's literally older than most civilizations we talk about casually. Clay jars, oil lamps, tools, things that people used in everyday life thousands of years ago. And you start imagining somebody actually held this, somebody cooked with this, somebody stored olive oil in this exact jar. It stops being museum objects and starts feeling like real human stories. Then there is the archaeology section, and wow, you see artifacts from different eras: Canaanite, Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, layers upon layers of history stacked on top of each other. And that's when it hits you. This land has never been empty. It has always been moving, changing, evolving. Empires came and went, but life kept going. One of the most fascinating parts for me was the coin pavilion. Now I'm not even a coin collector or anything, but standing there looking at tiny pieces of metal that survived thousands of years, that's crazy. Coins from different kingdoms, different rulers, different languages stamped into them. It's like holding a miniature newspaper from ancient times, even though I didn't want to touch anything.
Primitive money. Money plays an important role in our lives. It would be hard to imagine what our world would look like without it. We define money as anything used for making payments according to a law or unwritten code which ensures its value and acceptability. Before coinage. Bracelet-shaped ingots from Africa, 19th to 20th century.
You can literally track power shifts just by looking at whose face is on the coin.
Head of the Jewish king Agrippa.
And then you move to the glass pavilion. And this is where it gets beautiful. Ancient glass blowing techniques, delicate pieces that look too fragile to survive a week, let alone centuries. The colors, the shapes, the craftsmanship. And you realize people back then weren't just surviving, they were creating beauty. What I loved about this museum is that it's not overwhelming in a stressful way. It's spread out. You walk outside between exhibitions, you get fresh air, you reset, then you step into another era. It almost feels like time traveling, but with sunshine and palm trees. At one point, I just sat on a bench in the courtyard and looked around. School kids walking around on field trips, tourists taking photos, older couples quietly reading the signs, and I thought about how wild it is that all of us are all here in 2026, looking at things from 3,000 years ago. That connection across time is powerful. There's also the section about traditional crafts and local industries, weaving, metalwork, olive presses. You see how communities build their livelihoods. It's not glamorous history, it's real life history. The kind that doesn't always make it into dramatic movies that actually build society. And let's talk about the Tel Aviv Castle archaeological site that's literally inside the museum grounds. This is where it gets surreal. You're walking among actual ruins, not replicas, not models, actual remains of an ancient settlement street. Walls, foundations of homes. You can stand there and imagine the layout of an entire community that existed thousands of years ago. It makes modern Tel Aviv feel different because just a few minutes away, you've got skyscrapers, traffic, cafes, startup offices, beach vibes, and here you're standing on top of layers of ancient civilization. It's like the city has two hearts, one beating in the present and one echoing from the past. One thing I didn't expect was how interactive some sections felt. It's not just look and walk away. You read the stories behind the objects. You start connecting dots. You begin realizing how trade worked, how cultures influenced each other, how ideas traveled long before airplanes and the internet. And honestly, it made me slow down. Usually when I explore Tel Aviv, it's fast energy, the beach, the promenade, the rush before Shabbat, the central bus station chaos. But here, it forced me to walk slower, to read, to observe, to think. There is something humbling about museums like this. You start realizing that everything we think is permanent, buildings, government, trends, is just temporary. But human creativity, human survival, that continues. Another powerful moment for me was looking at everyday objects from ancient households, bowls, storage jars, tools for farming. It reminds you that people back then worried about food, family, safety, just like we do. Different technology, same human concerns. And the photography exhibits, especially the historical images of early Israeli settlements, that's a whole different emotional layer. Black and white photos, early Tel Aviv, sand dunes, small houses. You see how much this place transformed in just over a century. And then you zoom out and realize the transformation over thousands of years. It makes you appreciate where you are, not just as a tourist spot, but as a living timeline. By the time I was finishing up, the sun was starting to shift. The light over the museum grounds gave everything this golden tone, and I felt like I had just walked through chapters of a very long book. Except instead of reading it, I physically walked through it. And that's why I think Eretz Israel Museum is underrated. People come to Tel Aviv for the beach, nightlife, food, tech scene, and yes, all of that is amazing. But if you want to understand the roots, if you want to understand why this place feels layered and intense and complex, you have to spend a few hours here. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not viral in the obvious way, but when you start thinking about the fact that you're standing in a place where civilizations rose and fell, where people created art out of sand and fire, where coins travel through hands across empires, that's powerful. So if you're in Tel Aviv and you want a break from the fast pace, go there. Walk slowly, read the signs, sit down for a minute, let history talk to you. Because sometimes the most viral experiences aren't the loudest ones. Sometimes they are the ones that quietly change how you see the ground beneath your feet.